Thank you for visiting Empowered Wellness with Sheetal. I know you have many choices for yoga on YouTube, so I'm very thankful that you're choosing to spend this time here with me. And before I begin my video today, I'd especially like to thank my patrons who pledge their monthly support to help me create these wellness videos that I share with you. And if you've been watching my meditation and yoga videos and find value in them, then perhaps you too might like to pledge your support and join my patron community. You can do that by clicking on the patron link below. So feel free to pause the video right now and click on that patron link to learn more about how you could pledge your support. But whether or not you feel called to be a patron, once again, I'm very thankful that you're taking time for your self-care and that you're choosing to do that with me. I hope you find today's video useful and enjoyable, and I invite you to leave your feedback and comments below. As a body worker and yoga teacher, one of my favorite things to do is to combine both of those modalities into one really effective self-care experience. And one of the ways that I like to do that is by using therapy balls or tennis balls to do therapeutic ball work. So I have one of each here, a tennis ball as well as a therapy ball. I'm using the Yoga Tune-Up brand, but there are others as well. And by placing either the tennis ball or the therapy ball in specific areas of the body while we're doing our yoga poses, we're able to introduce self-massage in with our stretching experience from the yoga pose. And this allows us to experience deeper release and create greater energy flow for greater healing as well. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 key guidelines that will help make this type of yoga self-massage practice as safe and as effective as possible. First, we want to make sure that we place the balls on non-bony, non-sensitive areas of the body. So what you're looking for are the muscle masses, the areas that are fleshier, where we can access the muscle tissue, but also the fascial tissue and the connective tissue. So it's okay to be right up against a bone or right near a joint, but we want to avoid being directly on any kind of bony area or sensitive area. When it comes to therapeutic ball work, the name of the game is ease, not intensity. So we're not looking to create a real intense, deep sensation with the ball, kind of like if you were having a deep tissue massage. No, instead, we're looking for a more gradual easing sensation. And the way that I usually suggest to do this is to think about or feel your way to about 70% of what feels tolerable to you. So rather than going to the full extent of tolerable sensation, just go to about 70% of where that might be for you. And then just like we do with our yoga poses, we would just settle into that space, take some nice breaths, and then allow for the body to go deeper when it's ready to go deeper, if it's ready to go deeper. So if you start working with the therapy ball or the tennis ball, doing this kind of ball work, and you find yourself flinching or kind of going into a protective mode, that's an indication that you've definitely gone too far. And we don't want to do that because when that happens, we've triggered our fight or flight reflex and our protective reflex. And that is not what helps us heal. Instead, we're looking to activate our relaxation response, which is where the healing happens. And finally, combining intentional breathing and imagery enhances the effectiveness of our therapeutic ball work. Kind of just like we do in our yoga practice. So when we position the ball as we're doing our poses, I invite you to breathe into the area of sensation created by the ball. And by doing that, we're in essence sending the healing prana from the breath into that area. And then on top of that, if we add imagery, we can make the process even more effective. So, for example, if we're using the ball in an area and the muscle tissue, the connective tissue feels bound up, and we want to imagine or we could visualize that tissue unwinding, unraveling, softening, that kind of imagery can make the process more effective. Or perhaps we are working in an area where we want to increase the flow of energy or hydration. We might imagine flowing water, and that can help create that type of response in our physical body. So, using breathing and imagery as we do in yoga practice, but using that specifically with the therapeutic ball work can make our practice even more healing and effective. So I'm going to demonstrate those 3 guidelines that we just went over by showing you how to release 2 areas or 2 points in our glutes. So I'm going to use the tennis ball for this demonstration. And let's start off just by coming down onto the back and taking just a few moments in constructive rest. So bringing my knees to touch, the feet are wide, and just taking a few deep breaths here in constructive rest pose to settle the body and let the weight of the body sink into the floor, into the mat, arrive in this space. And the 2 points that we're going to release in our gluteal region is one right along the sacrum, and that actually is also a marma point. And the other point is right along the hip joint. And so I'll show you how we can access the connective tissue alongside the SI joint, alongside the sacrum, and then also alongside the hip joint without actually being on those bony sensitive areas. So we'll start with the sacral region. And so rule number 1, we don't want to be on the actual sacrum, on the actual bone, but we want to find the area right alongside. So if I take my knees off to the side and I feel for my sacrum, I'm going to find the outer edge of the sacrum and feel for that muscle mass, right? So the gluteal muscle mass, the fleshy area right alongside of my sacrum, right alongside the SI joint. And then when I feel like I've found that, I can bring my knees back up. Now, the key here, in order to go to that 70% place of sensation, rather than go too deep, too quick, is to move consciously and slowly. So I'll slowly bring my knees up so that I can really feel my way to that kind of 70% point. And so once I feel like I've reached that place of sensation that is not too intense, right? We're going for ease, easing into it. Then I'm going to just pause and settle. And I might keep my hand there to hold the ball, or I may not need to do that. With the glute, you probably don't need to do that. Your weight of your body could just easily hold that there. And then we're going to take some deep breaths. And just let the weight of the body settle here. And once we feel like maybe the sensation has eased, we might allow ourselves to go a little deeper. So I can shift my weight of my knees a little further over now to the left side, since I'm working with my left glute. And again, easing into that sensation, not going for intensity, and then pausing and again breathing. So then I can add that third element, the imagery. I've already been breathing into the area of sensation to bring the pranic healing to that region through the breath. But now I can visualize softening of that region alongside the SI joint within the gluteal muscle and the connective tissue there. alongside the SI joint there. The other thing I can do is gently move and add a little bit of movement. So I'm working my way into a spinal twist, but I don't go into the full spinal twist with the therapeutic ball because, again, I don't want to go into full intensity. So I could just do a little movement here with my left leg. I could continue to visualize softening of the gluteal tissue, or perhaps I use some other type of imagery that to me feels like softening or feels like release. And again, once that feels as if it's eased, then I could go deeper and I could take my leg further into that spinal twist pose. And I may not, and I probably won't take the knee all the way down because I have the ball there. But I could go as far as, again, it feels comfortable to me without being too intense and explore the extent to which I go into my spinal twist. So once I've explored and I feel like I've found my edge of spinal twist using the therapy ball or the tennis ball there in the gluteal region, I could take a few more final big breaths to create as much release, as much ease as possible. And then slowly bringing the knees up, taking the knees to the right to take that ball out, and coming back into my constructive rest. And just breathing and just noticing what I feel there. And comparing it to the other side, and you'll notice the difference. I definitely notice a lot more spaciousness in the left gluteal region right by the SI joint as opposed to or compared to my right side, which I haven't done yet. So now let's do around the hip area, the gluteal musculature that is around the hip joint. So for this, I don't need to take my knees as far because the hip joint is right here outside, on the outside. So I can, again, I'm looking for the hip joint, I'm looking for the bone, but I'm not going to be on the bone. I'm going to be kind of to the outside of the bone on the gluteal muscle. So I'm not going to be on the femur head, which goes into the hip joint. I'm going to be, again, on the outside of that. And then as I bring my knees back, this time I'm going to have to take my knees further into my spinal twist in order to even get into any sensation. So I mindfully take my leg down, let the weight of my leg sink into the ball. All right, that's about 70% for me, so I'm going to hold it there and breathe. Again, I could keep my hand there if that felt better to me, or I could let it go. And after some breaths, after some visualization of ease and softening in that region of the glute, the outer region of my glute, I might ease my leg a little bit further, a little bit deeper. I'm letting go of the weight of my leg so that I feel a little more sensation. And I'll breathe into that. So the extent to which we go and we allow the weight of the leg to sink really depends on how tender or congested or tight that area feels. Again, always looking for that 70% guideline so that we don't move into intensity too quickly. And finally, if it felt like I wanted to go deeper, if it felt like I could go deeper without that full intensity, I could even take now my right leg out into an extension to add a little more pressure to that region. And I could maybe even do a little movement of extension and flexion with that right leg. So this is certainly not a typical spinal twist, but it's a way to incorporate that therapeutic ball work into a modification of spinal twist to create deeper release in that muscle tissue. So then when I feel complete, I'm going to slowly take those knees over to the right to take the ball out. Once again, I come into constructive rest with the legs, pausing and breathing. and observing. So again, noticing how the left gluteal musculature feels now, not only along the sacrum, but also along the hip joint in comparison to the right. And boy, does it feel different. So much more space, so much more softness and ease, aliveness. I feel some tingling and some energy flow over on the left side compared to the right. Yeah, feels good. So for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do the right side, but of course you would do the right side just the same way by feeling for the areas along the joint, along the bone, and then easing your way in to about that 70% sensation, taking time to breathe, taking time to visualize, and then perhaps going further if that area of your body wanted to do so. So I hope you'll do the other side to bring your body into balance. And I hope this was helpful and useful and that you enjoyed learning how to use the tennis ball or the therapy ball to do therapeutic ball work and add that into your yoga pose. And if you liked this taste of therapeutic ball work, I invite you to check out some of my other videos on my channel. You'll get a link at the end of this video if you want to try that one. Or you can go to my channel, Empowered Wellness with Sheetal, and you can search on the phrase therapeutic ball work. And you'll see a list of different videos that I've created to work with different areas of the body. And if you're interested in a live experience with me, I encourage you to join me for my Summer of Self-Care series. So each month, June, July, and August, this summer, I'll be doing a 90-minute workshop in which I will incorporate some therapeutic ball work along with some other practices, other types of wellness and yoga practices, healing practices, in order to share with you a wonderful self-care, self-healing experience. If you're interested in signing up for the Summers of Self-Care series, click on the registration link below and you'll be able to learn more about it on my website and also sign up if you're interested in joining me live in a workshop experience. So thank you once again for taking time to take care of yourself and for also choosing to do so with me here on Empowered Wellness with Sheetal. Until next time, be well.